Hello, beloveds. This is the fifth time that I have attempted to do this recording. Actually, tried to do the live stream, and that was not happening. So, we're giving a go for a recording. And let me just take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Sunny Mira Kirkland, and I'm here to offer a transmission of the energy, delivering insights, information, wisdom, and medicine that's coming through this eclipse new moon portal. And I can just speak right now to one of the major themes that's presenting is endurance and perseverance through the resistance and the interference. So even as I say that, you may be able to hear that there's a leaf blower in the background. And it's a great metaphor for what we're experiencing. So there is a lot of interference in the field that may be pushing back against you and testing your character, testing your commitment. Will you continue to progress forward, taking the steps necessary to achieve your goals, even when there seems to be a lot of pushback, when there seems to be interference? How many of you are experiencing this? I have a number of ways that I have met that myself. And as I was reflecting with a client just a little while ago, how much there's a difference in a growing discernment, and this could be a time that's teaching us about greater discernment, the subtle cues between when the doors are closed and we're trying to push into a timeline that actually is not in service of us, a timeline where life does not flow, versus when we're hitting the resistance markers and interference that is a natural curriculum in becoming and stepping forward into the person that you will be on the other side of reaching that goal. So I have noticed for myself that it's requiring a whole lot of will, and not like just, it's not a personality will that wants to control and force something to happen. It's a deeper will that's connected with my soul commitment to fulfill a certain mission. So I'm having to, even though I'm tired and my body aches and I don't want to get out and have to do some of the things that I'm having to do to let my body fully land here in the land of Australia, that I'm still, it's being required of me. And so it's forging me into, it's forging a strength in me, a resiliency in me. How many of you are experiencing this now? How many of you are experiencing this medicine of resiliency and determination, resourcefulness, liberation? I would love to hear. I would love to hear how all of that has shown up for you. And as we start to bring forward these messages through these oracle cards, just calling on the highest light of truth, wisdom, protection to provide healing messages, transmissions, direct messages that will help us to connect with the energy, the archetypes of this time to best serve us in aligning and fulfilling our destiny. And so be it. As I was shuffling the Mayan oracle deck, this card popped out. So she who is adorned with bells, and it is the story about this deity that was moving from what they call Aslan, which was Atlantis, to South America, to Central America, and that she had found a bundle of precious feathers and placed them under her shirt, and she became pregnant. And this mysterious pregnancy was an embarrassment for the family, and for many, her brothers in particular, who ended up cutting her head off. And what this goes on to say, and this feels very relevant because we're in a solar eclipse, it says that this can be understood as the sun and the battle interpreted as the sunlight of day overcoming the night and washing out the light of the stars and moon. That's an eclipse. In another interpretation, it's characterized as the patriarchy, and the battle resulted in destruction of a matriarchal culture. This card appears in your life when you feel broken into pieces. The patriarchal system has pushed you to your limits, and you feel unable to continue for fear of community or social reprisals. She represents that moment when you feel that the love and care of the mother has disappeared, leaving you orphaned. You feel the depths of loneliness, isolation, sadness, disappointment, and fear. This is a time to allow yourself to experience your emotions, that the healing will come. How many of you can relate to that and can feel that? This is what will forge you into the new being. It requires stamina and persistence. If there's anywhere where there has been inconsistency or a lack of clarity of your commitment, that will become clear through this eclipse portal. And it's in the house of Libra. It's in the sign of Libra. And this is all about relationships. It's about equilibrium. It's about right relationship. And with its partner in Pisces, it's the undercurrent of emotion, the subconscious and the superconscious. It is the dream world as well as the higher world. And so as I speak that, it feels like this rebalancing of the upper world, the lower world, of the left and the right, the feminine and the masculine, the inside and the outside. It's creating clarity and contrast for any places that are not in balance and not in harmony, that are not in just and right relationship. So just taking a minute to reflect, where does that land in you and your life? Where have you noticed that there's an imbalance of power, that there is a feeling of overwhelm, of that there's some resistance? And can you identify the difference between the closing of a door and your own resistance to release your attachment to that versus interference that is actually coming from yourself that requires you to persevere beyond, to even pioneer a new path? I'm thinking in terms of neural pathways as I say this, that there may be attachments where there have just been these grooves that have been worn into the nervous system and into the neural networking. And that translates to your lineage, your ancestry, the ways that you have moved in this world, and the heritage that you have brought forth from your ancestors that's in your biology, in your energetic network. And the need to clarify or establish the new pathways that have yet to have evolved in this body, that have yet to have emerged from the depths of the darkness and the shadows of your ancestors, of your lineage, of all of your own baggage. It's always a huge time to look at our ancestral, not just ancestral, but it's always a huge time to look at the karmic patterns, the samskaras, and the shadow material of ourself in the collective. What are you noticing? What do you see? Tell me. I would love to hear. Tell me what you see as a shadow that's getting mirrored through the collective experience right now. So calling in some more information. So our overarching theme is this she who is adorned with bells. This awareness that there has been an imbalance between the matriarchal and the patriarchal presence in society, and that we have been living in a time of darkness and shadow, and the light is starting to bring the contrast that has been needed to see where the imbalance has occurred, to start to write that, to start to rewrite history. And we bring in the medicine horse, progress on the path. This is here for us right now to stay steady. It says, I am medicine horse, bringing you the message of freedom, journey, and progress. Do not act as though you are a beast of burden. Claim your innate divine dignity. Allow yourself to feel and be graceful. Recognize and honor your needs for rest, openness, safety, and respect. An ability to hear, know, and feel spiritual truth, which will guide you in every aspect of your life journey. It is opening up. Connect with your spirit. Live your truth. There is a powerful and sacred bond between your soul and the animal kingdom. If you have a beloved animal who has left this world for the spirit world, there is a message that has left this world. There is a message that this beautiful being is protected by spirit and is loved and peaceful now. So there's this interference that's coming in with the eclipse where there are distortions in perception. And to really create space to contact your intuition, to keep coming back to that. It's going to require a practice of continuing to come back to yourself more than usual. And that requires meditation. It requires the practices of stilling the mind, of moving the body vigorously could be really helpful right now in order to get to the level of observing the mind and then to stilling the mind. This says you will successfully navigate your way around negativity. And as you respect your inner guiding wisdom, your life experience will improve. Healing spirit communication and loving repair of the sense of self after any type of abuse is indicated. And there is spiritual support and assistance for a journey ahead that will take you far. Progress is being made. Medicine horse brings healing gifts for the mind, body, and soul. Horse is a healer. This oracle indicates that a time of significant healing is at hand. Sometimes at a soul level, the most powerful healing happens subtly. It may involve emotional catharsis and dramatic psychological aha moments, but it often occurs almost invisibly without us realizing how much our inner work is reshaping us from within. Eventually, we experience the fruits of our inner journey. Our interpretation of past experiences changes, empowering us to leave behind old points of view, former identities, and negative expectations for the future. We begin to feel the lightness and promise of our spirit. We discover and take delight in our divine beauty. We have made progress and a new horizon opens. Aho! This is a well-received message, I can say for myself, and I would hope for many of you, that this has been a time that has really tested our quality of character, our beliefs, our faith, and it's not going to end. It's going to continue. And this marks a point in the journey where we may be able to rectify what has been out of balance, out of alignment, and what has not been lived truthfully through our own bodies and lives. And what's called in as an offering to all of you who are willing to receive is the calling of the rose, the activation, the scarlet codes, ancient power. And this comes from the Rose Oracle deck. It's the temple of the rose. And feeling into this picture and the codes in the picture, how it makes you feel, where you feel it in your body, how you feel connected to it in your life. It says, for millennia, feminine power, expression, and wisdom have been suppressed. As a result, the feminine has been silenced, dismissed, and disrespected. We've become disconnected from the earth, the mother, and have stopped revering our elders. But times are finally changing, and we're all part of this change. So if you notice in your own life that there is this pattern with, let's say, women or mother figures, that there is some anger, resistance, or sadness, resentment, this is reflecting back to you that that is something that still needs to be reconciled inside of you, is your relationship with your intuition, your relationship with your feminine side, with your nurturing side. And that can only be revealed in the day-to-day stimulus and experiences that trigger judgment. How do you meet the judging parts of yourself? How do you meet the parts of yourself that have been the toxic patriarchy, that are harsh and forceful and controlling, domineering? Do you come back and you speak to that part of yourself from your mother's side? Or do you deny that? Do you deny that that lives in you? Do you deny that you have that shadow, that you're hard on yourself, that you're hard on others, that you try to control things? Are you willing to trust? Trust is a feminine, it's receptive. Are you willing to surrender? It's receptive. That has a bit of a masculine and feminine quality. It's the marriage of the two. Surrender is the marriage of feminine and masculine coming together. And yeah, if you're seeing that reflection in the world, you have to look back at yourself. You have to look back at where you're not fully embodying, respecting, and welcoming your intuitive mothering side into your life. Do you do everything in your head? This is very masculine. Or are you willing to go into your heart and respond to your head from your heart? Not making judgments about yourself, judging, not condemning yourself for having these traits or these characteristics. Every time we honor our body, express our wisdom, share our voice, and connect with our sensuality, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we call back our power, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we come together in circle, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. Every time we honor our cyclic nature and the cycles of nature, we heal the sacred thread of the feminine. And to expand upon that, we are in the cycles upon cycles. That's what eclipses and full moons and new moons and all of these other natural points in between are reflecting back. They're showing us the cycles within cycles and this particular cycle. How do we work with what it is that we are meeting and not resist it and judge it and make it wrong? But say, oh, Let me be here with you in this, and it's all okay. Developing that voice of what Divine Mother should sound like. What would you want to hear in response to what you're experiencing when life feels overwhelming, when you feel like there's no way out, when you feel the oppression and the pain? Just ask, what would it sound like? Invite her to come forward. And if you work with the saints, the angels, the teachers, the Mary Magdalenes, the Mother Marys, the Devas, Kalis, all of these mothers, you could invite them, like make that your intention, and then ask, what would they sound like if they spoke to me about this? Take a second to breathe that in and take that offering into yourself, and maybe pause and use that. Regardless of which gender you identify with, this is a card of calling back your power. It's a card of expressing your truth, no matter what it is. It's a card of sharing your soul's voice and singing the song that you came here to sing. This is a card of activation. It's a call to action, and it's a remembrance. You're the child of the ancient goddess. As you express yourself, you express for all who could not. As you reclaim your power, you do so for all those who cannot. Each shackle you break through, you free those who are yet to come. Share your voice, sing your song, dance your dance, reclaim your power. This is what you came here for. How are you being called to call back your power, express your truth, or honor the cyclic nature within? Can you identify the cycles that are returning? Is there another point in your life where you've experienced something similar? It feels that there is a much greater cycle, many decades, that we might be connecting with through this portal. It could be presenting patterns from childhood, from adolescence, that are indicating some part of us that we still need to retrieve our power from, that we need to invite back, that we need to embrace and make whole. Remember. So this is what's here for us right now and is already taking place. I just want to clarify, this is actually what's happening. That is what you are experiencing in the dark night of the soul, in the devastation, in the difficulty. You are experiencing that of which was said in this Temple of the Rose. It is the activation. It doesn't look all like rainbows. It looks like the difficult stuff of turmoil and feeling disconnected and disassociated. That is the creation of that which you will become. And there is this promise of the path, the medicine of the horse, and also things just won't be clear for a while. Eclipses bring out the unconscious, the hidden, and there will be another step in the journey here of the smoky mirror. So we're going to enter into a time where we're going to see a lot of darkness. This is going to be collective. This is going to be personal. Like I said in the beginning, it's not going to get easier. It's that we're being given the opportunities to grow in resiliency. So it's not that things will lighten up, it's that we're going to become more practiced at being in that environment and it not disorienting us. We're going to become more practiced at staying in our neutrality and being able to discern and assess when something is out of balance, when something is of the light, of the dark, when something is of truth, when something is deceptive. We're fine-tuning our intuition, and this is what is delivering us back into the wholeness and the right mindfulness of the mother's place in our life and expressed into the world to create unity and balance. The smoky mirror represents the aspects of what is implied yet cannot be immediately known in the world, the mystery of how things come together and how they fall apart without obvious casualty. The symbol also represents the shadow of the human psyche, the parts of the self that have been disowned. The smoky mirror can also represent a state of denial or the inability or refusal to see the truth. There's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of difficulty in really being honest with ourselves, with why we keep attracting mates and certain life experiences that are taking us back to places that we don't want to feel. It's not that they are creating any suffering in us. It's that they are extracting the suffering out of us. The question is, can we witness and accept what it is that we are being shown in that extraction so that it can be transmuted? When the symbol of the smoky mirror appears, you're invited to see beyond your own self. Acknowledge that, past the limits of your current ability to perceive, there is a vast interconnected world where events are orchestrated in divine order, but challenging to fully grasp. Now is the time to trust that no matter what the current conditions of your world reflect, in the hidden realms, all aspects of the human journey are celebrated. The beauty and the darkness, the misery and the courage. No matter where you are on the journey, know that some things are meant to be a mystery, which you are meant to understand only through experience. Take heart, for the smoky mirror will ultimately show you beauty and wonder once the fog lifts the distortion you see now. And there are some questions here that you could ask yourself. Because it is this darkness that lives in us that prevents us from seeing the truth of our current circumstances. It's the fears, the expectations of disappointment and unworthiness that can be clouding our capacity to see the potential in ourselves and others. This mirror is showing us things that we don't want to see as a result of our conditioning and our wounding. And they can become even more real, but only because we make it so. So it is our choice. And the world will hold you accountable for what you see and what you create. Can you see through the eyes of truth and faith instead? Big medicine, big gateway that we are in. And for those in the States who are in the field of the election, this is so radically important that you're developing your discernment and your intuition, and you're not allowing yourself to be inundated by the propaganda that is all around us. I have a very different perspective, and I already went way outside of organized media and standard journalists to independent journalists all over the world to source information and then to disseminate what it was that I felt was true in that. But coming over to a different country, you see things that would quite blow your mind when you are looking at news sources back over in the States. You really see things more clearly, and I can say that there is a great deception that is occurring in all news legacy media sources. Get out of it. It's toxic. And I would offer that there is opportunity to see in yourself what it is that you feel really polarized about with this election. If you think one or the other is better, there's some work to be done. There's some stuff to look at, because really it's a drama. There's so much more that's happening behind that, that it is playing on your fears, and it is actually getting you engaged in creating what you don't want, rather than disengaging from the there's a term that they use for, it's like predictive implanting. There's more happening, and you have to do research. You have to go look up who the WHO is. You have to follow the money trails of all of the things that were happening around COVID and all the pushing for certain mandates. And you have to look at these things pretty deep. And if you find that you don't have the time and you don't want to, it's a good indication of where your own shadow is, that there's stuff there that you are still fearful of, and you don't want to see, and you don't want to accept what it could mean if that was true. And it gives us a great opportunity during this time, because the shadow is so great in the collective, and particularly there in America, that you can check yourself on what it is that you're in denial of and where you've emotionally suppressed, and cut yourself off from your intuition. This will only return by bringing yourself into health, wellness, and alignment in your body with the earth and with this feminine part of your being. All of that to say, I'm so grateful that I get to offer this to you, and this is a testament and maybe an example of what perseverance looks like, as I tried to stream this video 4 separate times, and it just kept pushing back. And it wasn't that this was not where the current of life was, it's that is the forgery that I am in, that we are all in, that we must persevere, we must endure, we must move forward with the things that are true to us and valuable and bring value to this world. So thank you for receiving this. I hope that that's an inspiration for you in continuing to go beyond where you've gone before, go beyond the places that you feel limited. And if you feel that this is valuable, please help me with these algorithms so it can spread out. Share it with other people that need to receive this message. And with that, I send you with gratitude, grace, healing, and love, and wishing you a pure and simple life. Pura vida.